Today we come in our gospel reading to the call of the first disciples in Luke's version of the events of the life of Jesus. It's important to see this in the context that Luke gives us for it, because it has something to do with our own calling as disciples as well. In Luke's gospel, the adult ministry of Jesus begins by having Jesus be baptized and then going into the wilderness. And then he comes back from the wilderness into the region of Galilee. And he appears to go to Capernaum, which is that city on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. And he appears to have done preaching there and maybe some healing. And then he went, we're told, into the countryside of Galilee in that area. And he went from synagogue to synagogue preaching. And there was great excitement. People were really stirred by him. And then he went to Nazareth. And that was our gospel reading last week. He comes to his hometown. And there they are initially excited to see him. They hear his words as words of grace. But then in an instant, they turn on him, because they realize that what he's preaching is not the gospel that makes him feel better about being a good old hometown boy, but a gospel which deeply disturbs them, because his implication is that the kingdom of God is coming first and foremost to the Gentiles, not coming to those who are the good practicing Jews in his home synagogue. They are not first in this coming kingdom. They are later. They are not the first. And the first are, in fact, strangers. And this is deeply disturbing to them. And, in fact, we're told at the end of last week's reading that they lead him out of the town. They want to throw him off a cliff. But he walks away in their midst and goes on about his business. And his business, as it turns out, is to go back to Capernaum and to preach again there. And in this return to Capernaum, he heals Peter's mother-in-law. And he may have been staying at Peter's house. He's obviously established this relationship with Peter. He heals his mother-in-law, and then other people start coming, because they've heard he's a great healer, and they keep coming, and he's kept busy doing healings. And then it appears that he has some other ministry in the Galilean neighborhood there of Capernaum. And then we're told he goes out and tries to have a little quiet time in a peaceful place, but a crowd follows him. And they implore him to stay in Capernaum and in that region. And he says, no, I have to go bring the good news to other cities as well. And it's then that we come to today's story. And that's important, because what it means is that Peter and these other disciples that he calls today already have a relationship with Jesus. They've gotten to know him. He's been to Capernaum at least twice and spent some time there. They've heard him preach probably over and over and over again. They've seen him healing people, not just Peter's mother-in-law, but others as well. And so, for some period of time, what is it? Maybe weeks, maybe months, that Jesus has been around in the region doing this. So what happens in today's reading is not a bolt out of the blue. It's not that they are suddenly deeply moved by this catch of fish and give up everything and leave. It's that this is the fulfillment of the time that they have been spending with him. They have been listening, pondering who he is, what he's about, what he's preaching, what he can do. And then in this moment, in today's gospel story, it all comes together for them. And the multiplication of the fish and the nets is just one more expression of what they've already seen is so transformative about this man. And it is because of that they are gripped by the moment and able to leave what they're doing and follow him. As it happens, Jesus comes to the shore, pushes out in Peter's boat a little bit, does some preaching, then says, go fish, and Peter says, I haven't caught anything all night long, but if you tell me to, because I know what you've been doing for these past weeks or months, and because I think you are something, I'll do it. And so he does it, and of course the nets are full. And Peter's response is, we're told to fall at Jesus' knees and say, go away, I am a sinful man. And he is so overcome by the holiness of the person of Jesus, not the holiness of or the spectacle of all these fish. It's this sense of holiness and specialness that has developed over time in their relationship, and that now comes to fruition. So he says, go away from me, for I am a sinful man. The same response you might notice that we heard from Isaiah when he has the vision that he has in the temple of God sitting enthroned in glory. And he too says, I am a sinful man.